Welcome back to the My Tesla channel. My name is Jeremiah, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I didn't really want to make a, hey, Tesla cut their prices video because, well, you probably already know that, and you've probably already seen tons of videos covering that. So instead, we're going to be talking about why a lot of people, more specifically, very recent customers of Tesla, are extremely upset over the price drop. Now, I want to go ahead and be pretty specific here. I'm not really talking about 2022 customers. I'm mainly concerned with people that took delivery between the 1st of the year and the 12th before the price drops happened. Yeah, it sucks if you took delivery between the 1st of December, November, or even October, but at that point, prices had been pretty stable for a while, and you probably didn't need the tax credit if you didn't even bother waiting for the 1st of the new year. Now, before people get mad at me for saying that, I am in that boat. I took delivery in August of a $65,000 Model 3 Performance. Does it suck to see the same exact car now $9,000 cheaper? I mean, yeah, sure, but in my personal opinion, I think the Model 3 Performance is worth anything under 70, considering that its main competitor starts at 70 and goes up to like over 100 plus, that being a BMW M3. So yeah, 65K was fine with me. But for people that took delivery between January 1st and January 12th, well, a lot of people are saying that it doesn't just suck, but they got scammed. Essentially, these people took delivery just for them to wake up not even 2 weeks later to see that their car had lost 20% value just overnight. Now, there's a few different things that we're going to talk about, but first let's address why some people think that they got scammed. There's currently I don't know if you'd call it a rumor, it's kind of just what's floating around right now, and that's that these price cuts were planned for mid to late December, kind of around the time that we saw other countries getting price cuts. However, with the end of quarter coming up, because we know Tesla does some pretty crazy stuff for end of quarter pushes, they didn't want to, I don't know if the correct term would be like freak investors out, affect the stock, affect the value of the company by issuing these price cuts and then making people think that they had a demand problem. So instead, they introduced a temporary credit. We all know about the 3,500 that then became the 7,500 that then became the 7,500 plus 10,000 free supercharging miles that they did temporarily toward the end of December, with the hope of being able to hit delivery expectations and then being able to introduce these price cuts at the 1st of the year. At this point, it was already pretty well known that only 2 Teslas were going to qualify for the EV tax credit, that being the base Model 3 and the, I believe, any 7-seater Model Y. But the more popular ones, the long range, the performance Model 3, the 5-seater Model Y, none of those were going to qualify. And this price cut that was supposed to happen on the 1st was going to allow every Model 3 and Y to qualify except for one, that being the 5-seater Model Y Performance. But as we all know, Tesla missed their delivery expectations. So instead of dropping the price on the 1st around the time that their delivery numbers came out, they waited a week or so, almost 2 weeks, for it to cool off. So people are saying that anyone that purchased between the 1st and the 12th was essentially a victim of Tesla's bottom line. A lot of people think that Tesla was hiding the fact that all these models were about to qualify for the EV tax credit and we're still allowing people to take deliveries. Like I said, this is kind of just what's been floating around. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's true or not. Now, besides the fact that those 12-dayers, which is just what I'm going to call them, the people that took delivery between the 1st and the 12th, feel like that they got scammed and cheated by Tesla. The main argument that I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, is that their vehicle, their brand new vehicle, just lost 20% of its value overnight. Normal depreciation for a Tesla is 20 to 25% for the first year, 10% driving it off the lot, and then another 10 to 15% for the rest of the year, and then every year that follows, another 10 to 15%, slowing down around the 5-year mark. And this is assuming that it's like normal mileage. Like, this is assuming you're not dropping 50,000 miles on the dash every year. Well, all these people that purchased are now looking at a 40 to 45% loss for the first year. Now, some people have countered this by saying things such as, why did you purchase your car as an investment? Cars aren't assets, so who cares about the value? New cars lose 20% the first year anyway, so on and so forth. And well, while all that might be true, that's not really the problem. Anyone that purchased a car within the last 6 months knows that we're out of that crazy car market and expects normal depreciation now. No one is buying a car anymore, at least no one within the last 6 months, thinking that it's going to hold or even gain value. Like I said, they're expecting normal depreciation. However, with the recent price cuts, they're no longer looking at normal. In fact, they're looking at double. This then leads into people stating that, they don't buy a car thinking about its depreciation or its resale value. Now, I'm not going to lie, this statement is pretty ignorant because you normally match your down payment to whatever the first year depreciation is going to be. This is done to prevent the possibility of you becoming upside down on your car loan. A lot of people think that you can only be underwater or upside down on a house, but it can happen and is more than likely to happen with your car. And this is where a majority of the anger is coming from. People that are financially responsible, that put a healthy 30% down, because most Teslas lose 20 to 25% the first year. So 30%, you're already beating out first year's depreciation. Just to wake up not even 2 weeks later to find out that they're about to go underwater. Like, they haven't even had time to make their first car payment. And now they're being forced to go out and spend even more money on gap insurance. And if you don't know what gap insurance is, it's essentially for the financially illiterate that don't put enough down and refuse to buy something cheaper. In reality, that's who gap insurance is for, but now all these financially responsible people are having to go out and get it. And I've seen some arguments from people saying that they don't care about being upside down because, well, you're eventually going to catch up. In 4 years when you pay off your loan, the car is still going to be worth something. So you're essentially going to come up from being underwater. Well, there's always a chance of you being in an accident early on, which a lot of people can't control if it's not their fault. And then their insurance pays them X amount, but they owe more to the bank. And I know some people will say that, oh, well, the value that you would get is only relevant to the price of the new one. And I mean, I guess if you just pretend that the extra $10K that you spent over what it costs now is just didn't exist, then, this thinking does make sense. Like this logic does make sense, because let's say you go out and you buy a $65,000 Model Y. I'm just kind of throwing out random numbers. It then loses the 10 grand overnight. Now it starts at 55, and then you get in an accident and you get, let's say, 10% less than what a new car would cost you. If the price would have stayed the same, you would still get 10% less. So you would still owe, or you would need to pay 10% to get back into a new one. And this does make sense if you just pretend that the extra money you spent doesn't exist. You don't have a loan out on that, and you're not underwater, and you paid in cash. So that logic does make sense. But if you have a loan out on it and you're underwater, well, that money is still very real to you because you're still having to pay it. Also, there's some people making the argument of, what if after a few months you just realize Tesla isn't for you? This is very common. Even people that really do, can't afford the car, and they think that they want one and they get one, and then a few months later they realize that, hey, I'm just not ready for electric yet. Let's give it some time. They want to go and they want to trade it in. Well, no other car brand has dropped by 20%. If every other car brand had dropped by 20%, assuming you're not underwater on a loan, then, hey, you just kind of pretend that money doesn't exist. Every other car is down 20%. So it kind of evens out, right? You can go and you can get into another car. You're not really going to lose that much money. But, now you're looking at being 30% down. And you're pretty much stuck with the car, because a 10% loss to drive the car for a few months, realize that it's not for you, is pretty reasonable, right? But now you're down 30%, and that's not really that reasonable. I see a lot of people claiming that, would you write Tesla a check if you bought it at a lower price and then they increased the price a week later? And, well, that's not really why people are mad. And plus, how would Tesla feel if 20% of the money that you gave them a week later just disappeared, right? Just disappeared from their company? They would have lawyers knocking on your door. So yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily that people didn't get the lower price. It's that now a majority of them are underwater and they have to go out and buy Gap. Also, a lot of people are starting to put two and two together and realize that Tesla was and is just as bad as dealerships. During the crazy car market, people were praising Tesla for not doing dealership markups, when in reality, they were doing a dealership markup all along, just disguised as MSRP. Yes, at least you knew the price, right? Like, you weren't going to get a call like 6 months after you put a deposit down for a car saying that, oh, now it's 20 grand higher. At least you knew the price. But I mean, at the same time, at least the dealerships had the balls to tell you that you were getting scammed, like right there on the paper. It would tell you the MSRP and then the market adjustment value. Like, I mean, I can understand, prior to the new year and, probably 6+ months ago, it was more expensive to build these cars, but it has calmed down since then. And it's not like everything just magically got less expensive on January 12th at 7 p.m. EST. The prices for these materials have been down now for a while, but Tesla was still charging you that dealership markup. I really do wonder how many people would have purchased a Model Y in the past 2 weeks had their agreement stated $53,000 MSRP plus a $13,000 Tesla market adjustment. But to kind of round all this out and give my thoughts, because everything I've been saying so far has been just kind of like what I've seen, people stating how people feel. Well, I do kind of think people during those 12 days got scammed. Like, imagine if you had a Model Y on order. You saw the CEO tweeting about how good it is to be transparent as a company, right? You saw, the CEO complaining himself how, it was BS that the Model Y 5-seater didn't qualify for the tax credit. So in your head, you're thinking, this company, I can trust them. They're being transparent. They themselves are even complaining how it's not going to qualify. I'm going to go ahead, take delivery. Yeah, it sucks because I thought I was going to get the tax credit, but I'm not. You take delivery on like the 10th, right, of January, just for you to find out that they said, psych, it does qualify. I don't care who you are or what you think, right? I don't care if you're one of those people that absolutely bleed and die Tesla, right? And you'll defend them no matter what they say. You gotta feel bad for the people that bought during those 12 days. Now, I do have 2 big pieces of advice for people that purchased during those 12 days or even sometime in Q4. First, get gap insurance. It sucks if you put a big down payment down to prevent having to pay for gap insurance, but it's just what you gotta do now. You don't gotta keep it forever, just until you're no longer upside down. And second, well, a lot of people let a lot of problems slide with their cars because, well, Teslas are just such good cars. But if you start having major multiple problems that have, that Tesla has tried to service multiple times and it's just not working out, I would reach out to a lemon lawyer and start building a case. Doing a lemon buyback is extremely tedious. You can't even like mention it, let alone threaten, someone like Tesla with doing a lemon buyback because they can get super, super shady with how they word your repairs. They can word them as like goodwill instead of being like under warranty. But I've seen people that have, bought a new Tesla and it's literally been in, the shop just in and out with Tesla for like a year plus until Tesla finally decides to replace a major component when in reality they just had a lemon, but because they loved the car so much, they didn't want to, potentially reach out to a lawyer to initiate a lemon buyback. Lemon buybacks do happen with Teslas. I've seen it. And to be honest, if you start having like major issues, because it is bound to happen to some people. I guarantee during those 12 days, Tesla sold a lemon, right? I guarantee it. Reach out to a lemon lawyer, start setting things up if you start having major issues. A few months worth of some hassle to save $20,000. They buy it back for the price that they sold it to you at, and then you turn around and put it in an order, save 20 grand if you qualify for the tax credit on something like a Model Y long range. I think that's pretty much worth it. So yeah, don't let stuff slide. Get them fixed, especially if you paid like 13 to 20 grand over. But yeah, let me know your all's thoughts in the comment section. I really want to hear what you all are thinking. Are you one of those unlucky 12 people? How do you feel? Are you a Q4 buyer? How do you feel? Do you think Tesla should offer these people something? I've seen free FSD, right? Because FSD is really only valued at Tesla. If you've ever sold a Tesla, not trading it into Tesla themselves, FSD doesn't really bring you anything, but at least it's something. I've seen people, mention free supercharging. I've seen people say that they should extend these people's warranties, essentially just double them. I've seen people say that they should offer a 20% bonus credit if they trade in the car to Tesla within the next 5 years. I've seen just a bunch of different things. Let me know what you all think would be a good course of action if you think Tesla should even give them anything at all. Now, if you are new around here and you do want to see more Tesla related content, not exactly like this video. Like I said, this video is a little bit different, but more, you can just go back and look at my past videos. Then feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, as it really helps out the channel. I really do appreciate the tremendous support that you all have been showing my videos recently. Seriously, thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.